this sacred space created to allow the opening of our hearts. Everyone is welcome. No matter where you are on your spiritual journey, today we come together to celebrate our oneness in thought, in word, and in action. Paul, that was beautiful. Thank you. And George, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Doug, Rev Doug, your new minister and practitioner here at the Center. And I'd like to welcome everyone to our service this wonderful Sunday morning. And I am your practitioner for today. And my job here this morning is to set a thought in motion so we can do a little bit of contemplation and spiritually ground ourselves and prepare ourselves for our great presentation by our Dr. Michael. After service today, if you would like to join me in the classroom for a healing group, please feel free to do so. And certainly before you leave service today, if you'd like to speak with a practitioner, we'll have 2 practitioners in our foyer. So thank you. This past week on Thursday morning, I had an early day experience with a friend. And my friend up in Ottawa this was really early in the morning, like 9 a.m., and she had just gotten a speeding ticket up in Ottawa, which is kind of a hard thing to do if you live there. Because there aren't a lot of roads, and there aren't a lot of stop signs, and there's no stoplights, so you know where to watch if you're a speeder. And unfortunately, this was her second ticket in 6 months, so she was already worked up about the fact that there'd be no traffic school probably this time, and she'd have to deal with it. And so I happened to cross paths with her that morning, and you can feel that energy building around the drama, around the story. And it just so happened last week in our class, this thing called You by Ernest Holmes, we were talking about being observers to life, being mystics and not necessarily experiencing the drama that's going on, but being able to witness it, be supportive of the person, and step into being a healing power. But I had to give her a few minutes to move through the experience, and she kind of looked for some advice, and we don't really like to give advice, but I do. But I chose not to do it. And I listened and was calm and spoke a little bit about just that the experience will unfold and there'll be something of value that will come from this, and be on watch for that, as opposed to looking for the drama of the day around this. And so I went away, I sat down for a few minutes, and I remembered that when I'm in a situation like that and I'm a little out of sorts, I ask myself 2 questions. And these are the questions I'd like to contemplate this morning. One is, my question is, do I feel supported by the universe? And I know what that feeling is, and I certainly know when I'm not feeling supported. And the second question I have for myself is, do I feel like I'm being seen and heard? Do I feel like I'm being seen in the world and heard? Because those are my triggers, those are my 2 things. I'm not feeling supported, and I'm not feeling seen and heard. So I decided to approach and maybe pose the 2 questions to my friend. So kind of a wild idea. My questions to someone else. And I said to her, do you feel like you're being supported by the universe? Does the universe have you? And of course the answer was no. Not just because of the speeding ticket, but because of a big issue around relationship. And that wasn't going to unfold right there, but it connected her to something beyond the speeding ticket, which was a personal issue that she's going through. And my second question is, do you feel like you're being heard and seen? And guess what? Quick no on both of those. So it reminded me of the idea of making choices in our life. And the choice is to be a bystander and where the universe is kind of throwing stuff at you, to be a bystander, or to take action, to make choices, and to work through those things that are keeping us from our good, from our divine connection with Spirit. And ask those questions. Am I feeling supported by the universe? We know the answer in Science of Mind. It's an absolute yes, always. And if we're not, we're masking it. And the second question is, am I being seen? And am I being heard? And of course, Spirit wants us all to be seen. And Spirit wants us all to be heard. Okay, so I wanted to mention one of the things that helps me move through those things is the power of decision. And if that should be one of your most important books by Raymond Charles Barker, The Power of Decision. And he would suggest that moving back to the looking at the cause of the effect, we have the decision to make. We have a choice to make in the decision. And when we're out of sorts, and we ask those questions, and we get a resounding no, we're not feeling supported, and no, we're not feeling seen and heard, our job is to move back to understand why and make decisions to have that happen in our lives, to be seen and supported in our lives. So with that in mind, and thinking of those two wonderful questions, and saying, yes, I am being supported by the universe, and yes, I am being seen and heard. Let me do a spiritual mind treatment, an affirmative prayer this morning. I'll ask you to center yourself and join me in this oneness. And in the third step, where we're declaring our good, we'll take a minute of silence and meditate and contemplate about our richness and goodness with the universal Spirit. And I know now, in this exact moment, in this beautiful place, in this spiritual space, in this space unfolded, made present by the source of all of creation, by God, I know right here in this moment that each one of us is the perfect, whole, and most complete expression, the most individualized expression of Spirit, of God, showing itself in the beautiful variety of all that is life. And as each one of us steps into our oneness, into our truth, into our knowingness that we are God expressing, and we must do this, it is our destiny to be the perfect, whole, and complete expression of God. As we recognize this truth and step into it, we find that perfect feeling of being supported by the universe. This sense of being supported is our birthright. It is our essence. It is our oneness. And when we come to recognize this feeling of being supported, we know that we are making that connection with our Spirit. We're making that connection with ourself. And in this truth, we declare right here and right now that our life is unfolding with perfection. Our life is unfolding with love. Our life is unfolding with joy. Our life is unfolding with the most creative, expressive energy and light. For some, it's hard for us to imagine how light we are becoming. But we declare our truth that this is our path. And we declare that we are supported by the universe. We declare that we are heard and seen. We know that through our oneness, as we express who we are, God is at its perfect and most whole, complete essence, all around. And in this oneness, in this truth, as we find this sense of being supported, also comes with it this sense of gratitude. Filled with joy